What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Basara 2 Heroes! Now that we're finished with Kojiro's hero story, we're going to be moving on to a brand new character that I think we've only seen glimpses of in Basara 2, and that is Lady Oichi. We're going to play on the medium difficulty, and I like how later games in the series, the difficulties are indicated by the kanji and the color code that goes with them. So, like I said, Oichi is a brand new character. She's never been playable before. But she's also one of my absolute favorite characters, just like Kojiro. So as you can see here, we see we saw the Oda clan flag being presented there. Now we see the Azai clan. So Lady Oichi is actually the sister of Oda Nobunaga, and he has married her off to the Azai clan, which is sort of a running theme with Oichi throughout history. And Nobunaga treated her horribly. So the way they've characterized that in the game is that she's this innocent, demure flower who doesn't want to fight, but she's actually, luckily, a pretty competent fighter. So the first fight is actually going to be against Nobunaga because Azai Nagamasa, being a hero of justice and righteousness, does not abide by Oda Nobunaga's villainy. So we're going to go march on his land. So looking at her setup really quick, these are the alternate costumes. One of them is her standard outfit, but color swapped to look like Azai's colors. And the third one there is that kimono dress, which looks absolutely stunning on her. So Oichi is Dark Elemental, obviously. And we're going to be talking about her gameplay pretty soon here. I'm going to go with her standard secondary attacks and gradually show more of them throughout the game. So this first level is going to be kind of the setup for her story, and we can follow along actually pretty easily just by the visuals, even without really understanding what's going on in the story, which I like. So this is actually take 2 of this recording because my Mac decided I wanted to be an absolute bastard and just completely crashed when I was about 3 or so minutes into the recording. So anyway, like I was saying, Oichi in terms of gameplay behaves a lot like Keiji does, sort of, where she has these long, heavy swings that are very elegant and graceful to look at. The animation is very fluent, but they do leave her vulnerable to attacks pretty easily. She's not as slow as somebody like... she's not as slow as Shimatsu, and she's not as open as Nobunaga is with that first swing that caused me to die multiple times on ultimate difficulty in the first Basara game. But she is pretty powerful. She's actually quite a competent fighter, in spite of the fact that she is this elegant demure flower, but she's anything but innocent, as we can see here. She has her own dark powers, which we do not really know the extent of right now, but who knows where they came from, who knows where they're going. Maybe Nobunaga has something to do with it, maybe he didn't. Anyway, she wields a double-bladed naginata, which can be split into 2 separate weapons, or it can be combined together as one, which I really love that as a concept for a weapon. It's really unique in design, and it looks pretty awesome, but it's unfortunate that it really doesn't become her signature means of combat throughout the rest of the series. This is pretty much the only game where we get to play as pure Oichi. The other games in the series change her drastically, for plot reasons, as you will see. But again, Oichi is one of my favorite characters. It actually took me a while for her really to grow on me, but I really do like her. I like her in terms of appearance and in terms of plot relevance, and even in terms of gameplay. Before I played Basara 2 Heroes, I was not expecting to like her in terms of gameplay, but she's actually pretty incredible. And I don't just say that about every character that I like in the game, because they all do behave radically different. Like, for instance, I don't really like playing as Nobunaga, but I like playing as Hideyoshi just fine. So we saw a glimpse of her Basara attack there. It was pretty powerful. She splits the naginata apart and swings them fast enough to give Yukimura a run for his money. Her secondary attacks include a large sweep like that, where she stuns the enemies and brings them in closer with the curved bladed edges of the naginata. And then the other one is where she kneels down and creates some dark phantasms that come out of the ground. Some hands that will climb up and drag the enemies down into their grave. And it's pretty awesome. Not very effective because she has to be laying down essentially to do it. But it is Dark Elemental. It will increase it'll like slowly suck their health away and increase your Basara gauge, which is pretty awesome. We're going to go ahead and demonstrate that one more time. That's awesome. Her her Fury Drive gauge is also already full, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, one thing about Oichi again is that she is allied with Azai Nagamasa, but Azai has his own agenda. Of course, he doesn't want to fight against Nobunaga. In the anime, Azai finds out that what Nobunaga's been up to in terms of his absolute, villainy that he's been commencing thus far, and she kind of doesn't really have anything to say about it, but he's like, how can I possibly abide by this? Like, this is ridiculous. But it's my brother-in-law, I really can't step on his toes or anything, so he basically goes to protest against Nobunaga for trying to get him to conduct himself in a different way, try to get him to not conquer through the means that he has been. And for instance, Nobunaga wanted to march on Asakura, and so to protest this, Azai goes and says, you shouldn't do this, and Nobunaga basically says, okay, I won't. You're gonna do it for me, or I'll kill Oichi. And so Nobunaga is really an evil bastard, using his own sister as bait like that, even though he wouldn't actually kill her. But he has really shown no remorse or regard for her well-being whatsoever. Hell, he married her off to Azai, and it wouldn't be the last time, but it really does kind of set her up for an awesome character, because yeah, she seems kind of like a damsel in distress until you see her actually fight, and then she has like this, it's almost like the typical characters of like your rape revenge stories, your murder revenge stories, where they have this awful start, and then they just, through whatever means necessary, get the ultimate revenge on the people that did them wrong. And it's pretty awesome. It's very sort of I spit on your grave style, sort of. So for that reason, I really like Oichi's side story in this game. It's pretty beautiful, but like I said, just in terms of the anime, she basically is just a plot device in Season 1 to create more conflict surrounding Oda Nobunaga and make him into more of a villain. And of course, later on, after what happens to Azai, she ends up still not really having that much of a central focus. Later on in the season, she ends up taking out Lady Nohime, which is pretty awesome. And her whereabouts were unknown at the end of Season 1. But I'll talk about her role in Season 2 later on in this video series. So anyway, as far as this stage goes, the enemies are pretty par for the course. We have the halberd units on the Oda clan army with the silver and gray armor. We had those guys throwing boulders before, which we just kind of walk right past them because I ain't got time for that. So, and Oichi is not really cut out to fight them, to be honest. Azai is with us, although he's not going to be doing a whole lot of good. At least he's at full health. Okay. Time to take out Akachi Mitsuhide, that awful snake. This is sort of like how how Akachi Mitsuhide met his end in the Basara movie, which again I won't really talk about now because it's a Basara 3 spoiler. So, but you guys that know what I'm talking about when you see this particular imagery right here, we do want to drag Akachi Mitsuhide down into his grave. He's standing still for some reason, but I don't trust him because he has, again, proven to be an evil bastard up until this point. He doesn't have that same... Well, then again, I think he does have that same barrier attack that he did in Basara 1, but we're not going to take any chances. I'm going to play it safe. He sure is exhibiting some weird behavior. Like, he has some weird new secondary moves in Basara 2 that I'm really not familiar with. And he was just holding his sides up in the air for some reason, just sort of waiting for us to attack him. But we are not amused. His gauge is full though, so I should be careful of that. Of course, he didn't really do anything with it. Maybe his AI script is weird in this battle so that you can't lose against him or something. Maybe it's a plot-relevant point that he's purposefully allowing himself to be defeated by us so that we can get to Nobunaga, but who knows. Akachi Mitsuhide is weird. It sure is kind of hard for Oichi to hit, though. If it looks like I'm struggling, I honestly am, because, yeah, he is pretty difficult for Oichi to hit. Just because of the range of his sights, it really is a hard counter to her weapon, and again, the speed at which she attacks really does not make that for a favorable fight. Alright, time to take on Nobunaga. So, we're going to go ahead and use the Fury Drive gauge here, and so is Azai. So, we're going to be double the trouble against Nobunaga. We've already taken out quite a bit of his health already. And of course, it wouldn't be a Nobunaga stage without the skull imagery everywhere, of course. But Nobunaga is the same as always. He still has a couple of really nasty attacks, as we discovered in Basara 2. But other than that, he's kind of the same as he was in the first game. He is Dark Elemental. His basic melee combo with his sword is actually kind of underwhelming, as we established in the first game. But he does have some pretty dangerous attacks that can close the gap between us. That sort of swirling attack that's sort of like Masamune's Magnum Step, but not quite. And then he has the swords that come shooting up out of the ground, similar to our Phantom Hands. Reminds me of like the little vector things from Soul Eater or from Elfen Lied that are just hands that just pull things apart. Pretty gruesome, honestly. That didn't deal as much damage as I was hoping for because he blocked it. But he's almost down anyway, so I'm not terribly worried about it. We're going to go ahead and eat him alive with the hands. I will definitely be swapping out that ability later on in her campaign because I don't much care for it, but it was nice to kind of experiment with, and I obviously make it a point to show off every single secondary ability that a character has. Except I suppose I didn't do that much in the first game with, I mainly did that in the second game because, again, on the first game I was playing on ultimate difficulty and I didn't want to take any chances. So, like, with the very first series with Masamune there, it was the most optimal abilities I could possibly have to win those fights.